Hi, welcome to Brunch with Brian on this beautiful morning. And today, guys, I'm going to talk about long-term versus short-term deals and whether or not, what you should pursue, what will work best for you in the long run. And I have some ideas about setting up your business on short-term and long-term deals, obviously. Being around the business for over 30 years and in mortgages and also as a realtor and then as an investor as well. So but today's Earth Day, yay, I had to be outside. I didn't want to be stuck inside. I'm sick of being stuck inside. So I love being outside on Earth Day. And so let's all celebrate the Earth, do something good for the Earth today. There's I had a couple of jokes on Earth Day. What does Earth get for, what do you give Earth on Earth Day? A birthday quake. Okay, that was kind of funny. All right, but here's what I want to talk about, guys. There is some other special days of the day that sometimes I will mention. Earth Day, Jelly Bean Day, and some other things. In God We Trust Day. Jack Nicholson turned 84 today, which is interesting. But guys, let's focus on what we need to focus on today, which is real estate investing and picking what kind of deals you want to focus on and getting every kind of deal done. That's what I don't want you to do. I want you to be a transaction engineer, number one. And you can't always determine what deal is going to come your way. So sometimes you're going to have a deal that would be best done as a wholesaler, rehab, or work for equity is what we prefer. Now I'm going to go through all 7 deals quickly here and tell you which ones are long-term and short-term paydays and what you can expect from these. So the first kind of deal that we always like to talk about is a pretty house deal. Pretty houses are deals where you get financing. That's essentially what a pretty house deal is. It's buying a house and buying it on monthly payments, and hopefully with nothing down up front, and just making monthly payments, and hopefully for like a 30-year term or the remainder of the mortgage on the property. And that's the ideal pretty house deal. There's all gradations of that. You may only get 2 years from the seller. I don't like to go much shorter than that, and I don't like to go that short, but you want as long as possible. 5 years is pretty livable, and a lot of times you can renegotiate. If you've still got the property in 5 years, you can get more time. But I want you, on pretty house deals, that's obviously a long-term deal. So that's a deal that may be a 30-year deal. Now what I want you to ask for, anytime you see a mortgage on these properties, just try to get till the end of the mortgage. Just say, I'm going to pay the mortgage until it's paid off. And then the rest of what I owe you, I'll just keep paying that same amount every month to you on the same amortization schedule. Okay, now, if you were really smart, you caught what I just said. That was a really important thing I just said, so I want you to rewind and try to watch that a couple times if you don't totally understand what I said. Because that's basically how I want you to structure every seller financing deal with a mortgage on it. That should be your first option. So seller financing, obviously, as long as you can get. Sometimes it's only 2 years. Sometimes you get a long term from a seller, like a 10-year or 30-year term, and your buyer will go and wreck the whole deal by paying you off. Because remember, they have an option to buy. So that's why, not to put too fine a point on it, but we like people who have rough credit. We were just talking to one of the students, one of the very successful students in our mastermind group. We did our mastermind Zoom meetings yesterday, and I tell you, we have some awesome, powerful people in there, and all different strategies they're using, and using really smart techniques to get these deals done. The second, and some of these are very long-term deals, where you're getting the length of the mortgage and plus, or 30 years, and again, some of them are shorter. So I want you to get as long as possible. Number 2 kind of deal is a wholesale. Now that's just a one paycheck quick deal. It's when you find an ugly house, get a contract on it, and then assign it to somebody who wants to rehab it and take an assignment fee. That's $5 or $10 grand a lot of times in most areas. Every once in a while you can find something big, but usually you're lucky to get the $5,000 and $10,000 paydays. That's short-term money. So you got to work. Every paycheck you make as a wholesaler, you're working for it. You're finding the deal, you're closing the deal, you're talking to people, you're working it, you're finding the buyer, you're closing it. So there's, a rigmarole, and you get one check at the end. So that's why I like pretty house deals, because there's 12 paydays, and once you set it up and put a lease purchase buyer in there, the paydays just keep coming and coming. And we've had paydays like this one big one where it was $278,000 back end payday. I don't know how much we actually put in hours on that deal. I do know we did this deal that we got a paycheck for 165 for a back end payday. And if you looked at all the profit centers on that deal, we ended up making 200 something on that. But just the back end payday was 165. And I looked at it, and we'd had that house for 5 years. And so I looked at how much time, and I will guarantee you that we did not put 50 hours into that deal. 50 man hours total of all of our staff. Okay, it was definitely less than 50, dealing with everything we had to deal with that house, and including an open house and doing that and all that. So 50 hours, I worked it out, would work out just on the back end profit, not the whole profit for the whole deal, but that would be like $3,300 an hour. Okay, for the time we actually spent on this. So the paydays on these pretty house deals are just ridiculous. They have no relation, necessarily no correlation to how much effort or time you actually put into them. So that's what's so beautiful about them. You kind of stumble into them or find them, or have a good way of prosecuting that business, find these great deals and close them. Okay, so and then they just make money. It's like as the clock ticks by, time doesn't serve any of us. We're all getting older. But I'll tell you, time serves you if you've got a bunch of pretty houses out there just getting mortgage paid down and getting cash flow. The third kind of deal I like too is a work for equity deal, and that is a long-term payday. So if you're not that familiar with that, it's basically this person is a lease purchase buyer set up on a long term. You've got terms from the seller, but it's an ugly house. It needs work and you don't want to do it. So you put someone in there who's going to do the work. That's just like a lease purchase deal. Number 4 is a rehab. So if you haven't done rehabs before and you're newer, that's a really tough deal to start with. If you have a lot of really good contractor friends, and they do actually one really great contractor friend you can really count on, then rehabs, give you my blessing, because there's good money in rehabs. If you have the money to do it, and if you have the patience, and if you have 3 to 6 months to wait. And it's all money in the beginning, and then you get your money out in one big bang at the end. So again, that's not the long-term paydays, that's the short-term paydays. And again, guys, if you have the perfect rehab, we just did a rehab in Minnesota, and it was the right property. We actually framed in another bedroom because it didn't cost very much to do it, and it really raised the value. We took it from a 2-bedroom townhouse to a 3-bedroom and added another bathroom. So it really, really added value, and it's a 2-story, split level, really nice property. And there was a massive spread in it, so we did a big rehab. So I don't want to get into that anymore. But yes, we like rehabs, and rehabs can be good. The number 5 kind of deal is pre-foreclosures and short sales. Now that's a deal, and I want you to be thinking of turning that. You might think, okay, that's a short-term deal, because if it's a short sale, you got to pay off the mortgage company. That's true. But if they're just delinquent on the mortgage, I want your first strategy to be, hey, I'm going to catch up that mortgage and then just take it over as a wrap or a subject to. So that's what I want you to be thinking on these pre-foreclosure deals. So that should take no money, and it should be a long-term deal. Otherwise, it's just going to be one short, quick payday. The number 6 deal is options, and that's a short-term deal, and that's unavoidably because the seller won't give you terms. So they need cash, you got to pay them off right away. That's a short-term payday. They're willing to give you some equity, so you sell to a cash-out buyer. Then the last kind of deal is an axe deal. So that's a deal, and listen, if you're thinking about doing an axe where you basically get a long-term lease purchase on a house that may be over mortgage, and then you basically sell that long-term lease purchase to your lease purchase buyer, you can do it that way, and then you step out, and the axe seller and buyer just work with each other. All right, now I would prefer that you stay in that deal and turn it from a short-term deal, a one payday deal, into a long-term by doing a sandwich lease purchase on that, because that will turn it into a long-term deal. So those are, and the balancing act here is sometimes the deal presents itself and the only real exit strategy is a short term because you can't get terms from the seller. And you're not going to go down and get a bank loan on a property in your own name and risk your credit and cash. So basically, if you can get owner financing, that's those great long-term deals. If it's an ugly house, you're going to do work for equity, and there's many, many exit strategies, lease purchase and contract for deed and all kinds of exit strategies on the other end. So for pretty houses. So I love those ongoing paychecks. They have no correlation to how much effort you actually put into the deal, and money is just being made in the background as you're living your life. And that's what I like about those long-term deals. So guys, it was great spending a little bit of time on Earth Day with you. So do something good for yourself, something good for the earth today. I love you guys, and I miss you. Normally I'm seeing you every single morning, and we've been pretty busy lately. And if you guys know Ron LeGrand and Global Publishing, we're working on their quick start. So if you're over there, we're going to be teaching a bunch of that tomorrow on selling houses fast and giving away a lot of our great secrets there. So maybe we'll see you there. But and I will not be on Brunch with Brian tomorrow, so don't look for me here. That's why I wanted to do an extra good one today. And it did turn out extra good. There's lots of great content in this one today to review and to just be aware of all the 7 deals that you should be looking for as we approach our summer of success. Big summer this summer, best summer ever. All right, guys, so great. I will see you on that other event, and I'll see you back here on Brunch with Brian next week, every day next week, I promise. Okay, until I see you next, keep expecting success, getting awesome training, and taking lots of action.